I honestly think that a lot of people in crypto are not bullish enough. And that's exactly what's going to wreck them. So my mission in this video is to show you why you should be way more bullish on Bitcoin and on crypto than what you are right now. I'm pretty sick, I lost my voice, but I still want to show you this. So if you appreciate it, please like the video, like it 2 times, 3 times, different accounts. I don't know if that's legal, but let's get right into it. And drop a comment from 1 to 10. How bullish are you at this particular moment? I really want to know. So let's go over the crypto market. Let's go over the short term first a little bit to see what Bitcoin is doing, and then let me explain why you should be way more bullish than what you actually are. So Bitcoin had a pretty decent dip all the way back down to $56,000, and we are now already sitting 10K above it. So you'll see that the volatility is increasing right now, and volatility in a bull market is actually not really a bad thing. As you can see, we bounce like perfectly off of the bull market support band. That's a really important indicator. If you look at previous cycles, the bull market support band is called the bull market support band because it gives support in the bull market. And in the last cycle, we bounced off of it perfectly multiple times as well. And that's what was keeping us up. If you look at the cycle before that, 2017 was the perfect example of this. We had the bull market support band dragging us up all the way through the entire bull market. And every time we came down, people were freaking out. Here we had a crash of 40%. People thought it was over, but that was crash number 6 or something. And it was still in the middle of a raging bull market. I think we're in the same place right now. Now, I don't want to cheer too soon because as you can see what Bitcoin is doing, it is just making lower lows and lower highs so far. And this is yet so far another lower high. So in my opinion, we really have to break above $67,500 and close there to really turn bullish again. But this move is not bearish. And what Bitcoin is doing right now looks quite familiar to what we saw over here. Here we also had a big move up, made lower lows and lower highs for a couple of weeks, months even, and then had that push to the upside again. Now, this is kind of what we're doing as well right now after we touch the lower side of this range right here. So all in all, in the short term, yeah, we can go back to, higher 50s. We can also go back to the lower 70s. That's the range for now. And this is basically sideways. And this is the period where I am buying. And I'm buying Bitcoin, I'm buying altcoins, but mostly I'm buying Bitcoin for the long term. And with the long term, I don't even mean this cycle. I mean really long term. So I will show you the changes that I've made in my portfolio in this video to be as transparent as I can be, because I am restructuring my portfolio right now to really prepare for this. This is others, the altcoin market, excluding the top 10. So really the altcoins. And if you take a look at what happened in the cycle in 2017, we broke out in, May, June, July 2016. Exactly 4 years later, we were sitting at May, June, July 2020, we had another breakout. Now, we are sitting close to that period. We're coming into, it's already May. We're coming into that period where altcoins usually have their 4-year cycle breakout. Could this time be exactly the same again? Yeah, I'm not ruling it out. If that's the case, then we can see the final breakout for the altcoin market, and that's gonna be crazy. Zooming in on this, we have 3 ranges for the altcoin market, right? The first range is between 400 billion and 250 billion. That was the all-time high last cycle. The second range, where we do not spend a lot of time, is between 250 and 150, give or take, where we had this correction in the 2021 market before we saw the final top, and also where we were struggling a little bit at the end of the previous year. And the lower range is between 150 and 60, 70 billion, give or take. That was the absolute bear market low, which I do not expect us to go back down there. Like, I don't want to rule it out. Black swans could happen, etc. But that doesn't seem likely. We don't want to make it harder than it is and overcomplicate things. The best places, in my opinion, to get your hands on altcoins is the lower side of this range, or if we break to the downside and we find this second range right here, which could definitely happen. If not, then this is the best place basically to buy. And the answer to every question out there is DCA. Now, if you are still thinking about making $1 million or whatever, you have to realize this. It's worth absolutely nothing, okay? If you make $1 million in crypto, here you have to pay like 50% taxes. Then you have $500,000 left. Then you have to calculate the inflation. The dollar is worth so much less over time that in 10 years you pay 70, 50, 70% inflation. Well, you don't pay it, but that's the inflation that the dollar has. So you have to pay more for your groceries, your mortgage, your every expense that you have, right? So that's not what you want. $1 million is worth like nothing in 10 years. So what you want to do is make sure that you have it at a place that doesn't have inflation. And the only thing that can provide you that is Bitcoin, actually. Now, a lot of people say like you could go to the stock market, it's pretty safe. If you look at the S&P, for example, just invest in there and you'll be fine. That's a little true. Of course, the S&P is going up, of course, but that's only because the dollar is going down. The S&P looks fantastic. It looks like it's making you a lot of money, right? If you look at the S&P divided by the M2, the current money supply, it just broke an all-time high that we haven't seen in more than 20 years. So it took 20 years to finally make a new high, right? So even S&P investors, they didn't make anything. They didn't make anything. However, if you look at Bitcoin divided by the S&P, you see that this line doesn't make sense. This is actually going up, right? So Bitcoin against the S&P is doing well. Right, and that's in a major uptrend since the beginning of Bitcoin. So I know a lot of people in crypto, they say, yeah, but Bitcoin is boring. Bitcoin is not boring. The worst cycle did a 17x from bottom to top. These are crazy returns if you take it over 2 years. But still, people like altcoins more. And I understand, I feel the same, but not for the long run, of course. In 10 years, you do not know which altcoins will still be around. In 10 years, it is pretty much guaranteed that Bitcoin will be around. So what your strategy should be is make money with altcoins and put it into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is outperforming the dollar and also the expenses. The only asset that is outperforming these expenses is Bitcoin. And now, of course, you can play the 4-year cycle, right? I'm not saying that somewhere end of 2025, when Bitcoin tops out, you should just hold it. You can put it into anything until the bear market is over and just reallocate again. But that's wealth preparation mode, right? A lot of people, they are not millionaires. So how do you make it? Well, like we already know, altcoins. So let's dive into that. And I honestly think that these are the steps. You have cycle 1. You look back at it and be like, what just happened? Like, I had money and now I don't have money, and it went up and it went all the way down. And was it a cycle? What's a bull market? What's a bear market? Like, you have no clue, but you learn from that. And then there's the second cycle. You play it. You know about the cycle. You know a little bit about when to sell, when to buy, how the market moves, why the market moves like that. And you'll be like, okay, I think I got this right now. I made money and I was even able to keep that money. And then there's the third cycle, and that's the cycle where you completely, nail it. You do not only know when to buy something, you also know what to buy when. That's really important, because there's so much to get from crypto, but if you buy the right things at the wrong time, or the wrong things at the right time, it's still really hard. And that's where it all comes together. Because look at this. Bitcoin bottomed end of 2022. So you could look back at it and be like, okay, this was the bottom. This was the best place to buy Bitcoin and altcoins, etc., etc. It was the best time to buy Bitcoin, but it wasn't the best time to buy altcoins. Because if you look at altcoins on their Bitcoin pair, they bottomed in June 2023. So half a year later. While this is where Bitcoin bottomed. So if you look at the Bitcoin bottom and you bought altcoins, you still lost 30% on your Bitcoin value. And now you are finally sitting at that level again. So you're now finally at the moment where you play even if you were into the altcoin game back then. And that's every cycle, it's the same. Bitcoin bottoms, then altcoins on their Bitcoin pair go lower, lower, lower. Then they bottom and go up. And then eventually you will see an alt season. Now, the nice thing is that some altcoins did a 3x, 4x on average from the bottom to where we are right now. Some did less, some did more, but overall not too explosive yet. But your portfolio should be looking pretty good by now. However, have we seen an alt season? No, we haven't seen an alt season yet by far. If you look at this, altcoins on their Bitcoin pair are now up 40% from the bottom. 40% gains are not alt seasons. If you look at the last big alt season, if you take it from the bottom to the top, that was a close to 700% gain. That's 15 times as much as what we have seen so far. So this period is yet to come, in my opinion. And now I want to show you how I, create my crypto portfolios, and also show you like what you can do when you are in a different or the same situation as I am. But the thing is, you have to believe in this market, okay? Otherwise you will get wrecked. And it's so simple. If you understand Bitcoin, then you know that it's going to go way higher than where it is right now. And I'm talking 6 figures, maybe even 7. I'm not saying that that's going to happen this cycle, but, give it maybe another cycle after this, maybe another one after that. Easy peasy, okay? And just look at it. We had a high, we went way higher. We went way higher. We went way higher. We are now sitting at that same level. We are not at that way higher level yet, but companies stepping in. There are now ETFs. It's getting approved all over the place. Governance is trying to stop it. They can't, so they're trying to work with it now. It is so freaking bullish, man. We are so early. It feels like, it's already there for like 15 years. We're too late. Man, if you can get your hands on a full Bitcoin right now, you will be a millionaire someday. For the good quality altcoins goes exactly the same, okay? Believe in the technology and believe in the 4-year cycle, and you will make it. Because if you then get a pullback in the meantime, you look at the market and be like, nice, buy more. If you are panic selling in the meantime, then you are not convinced about the future. So if you catch yourself being a panic seller, you have to do more research, man. All right, so my strategy, my portfolio, my play. Let me first tell you why I am doing what I'm doing. I first looked at what I have right now. And based on that, I've set my goal. If I now have $5,000 in crypto, and I say to myself like, okay, I want to be a millionaire by the end of the cycle, then there's 1, a good chance that I won't reach my goal. And 2, if I want to reach my goal, I have to be so risky that I can lose it all as well. So that's not a realistic goal for me. So I looked at what I have right now, and based on that, I made a goal for myself. And that goal is something that I can live from. And that would make me very happy if I achieve that goal. So I don't need to be too risky, but I also don't want to be too conservative and be a complete Bitcoin maxi this whole cycle, knowing that the altcoin market, has done nothing yet. So we have to adjust to that. So I created 4 crypto portfolios, and I'm still fine-tuning them. So I'll take you with me in another video to show you exactly how it ended up. But I made a 4x portfolio because a 4x is, for me, enough this cycle. And it would be weird if I don't hit that. So in my case, most of my money is going into the 4x portfolio. Now, I'm not saying that the coins in this portfolio cannot do more than a 4x, but I feel like every single coin in this portfolio should be able to do a 4x. I'm gonna show you. Also, I made a 10x portfolio. Coins more like mid caps that are good quality products, but still a lot of room to grow. And you should consider that, the higher these X's, the more risk you are taking as well. So for me, like, I'm not putting like 80% of my money in this portfolio, of course. Then I have a 50x portfolio. For me, it's around, I don't know, 5 until 10% of my money is going in that portfolio with coins that I feel like, okay, these could 50x. but they can also die, right? And I don't want to have all my money there. And I also have a YOLO portfolio. These are coins that I felt like, okay, I have them. I feel like they're good. I might not know enough about those yet, or these are some leftovers that I feel like, yeah, I just don't want to sell them. This is more a portfolio that I, don't even look at, and have a little bit of money in it, and I will look at it, by the end of the cycle to see what it did. But in any case, this can be stolen, rather not, but you know what I mean. And guys, realize it's gonna be crazy. If Bitcoin hits more than $100,000 and that money moves into altcoins, then these altcoins will see valuations which are now considered to be completely unrealistic. But you have to realize this. Here, when the altcoin market broke out, it did in general like 10x, give or take. But some altcoins do so much more than that. If we, for example, look at AVAX, right? AVAX, here it did from $3 to $130. It did more than a 40x. Well, the altcoin market in general did a 10x. And AVAX was already quite a high cap coin. So the gains could be enormous. Now, that's what I want to prepare for. In the meantime, if you still haven't liked the video, smash it. Come on, do it. Help me out here. Right, now, so my 4x portfolio contains this. Bitcoin, all right, and it's very simple. Bitcoin is the only coin, like I said, that we know is going to stick around in a couple of years. All these other altcoins, even Ethereum, nobody's sure about that, okay? I think Ethereum is going to stick around. I think that Dogecoin is going to stick around. But, everything else can and probably will be replaced, okay? So if you're really looking for the long term, go with Bitcoin. Don't go too crazy into altcoins. But if you're looking at this cycle and be like, okay, what's a good, risk reward ratio coin to buy? And then I think that this list is pretty well. So I'm going to put most of my money in this list. Bitcoin, Solana. I think Solana has a lot of room to grow, but I just think that Solana, although my trading view is not even working right now, I think that Solana at $150, where it's sitting right now, it is quite expensive. And compared to where it can go, it can be a lot higher. But you should realize some coins came from very far and they are now up way higher than where they were. Solana, for example, came from $9 to $200. Like, there's not a 50x from this point anymore. Right? But Solana to, I don't know, $700, I can see that happen. Yeah, Ethereum. I mean, it is the chain with the biggest TVL. It's the first mover advantage. It has the best technology. The only thing that sucks about the chain is that it's a whales chain. It's really expensive to use and it's not fast. But then again, we have layer 2s for that. Put an IMX on it and it suddenly works, right? And also, that's in my list. IMX is the type of coin that I think is quite high cap, but can do a 5 up till a 10x from here. Now, this is a 4x portfolio. That doesn't mean that I think the max for these coins is 4x, but I do think that a 4x is super realistic. You don't want to say to yourself like, hey, this is gonna 10x, this is gonna 50x, this is gonna 100x. Some coins are gonna completely shock you, but overall, manage your expectations a little bit. We came from far already. I think Beam has a lot of upside compared to the downside. Same goes for Uniswap. This is a very, Uniswap hasn't been performing so far, but it is the multi-chain DEX and it generates a lot of revenue. It has a lot of fees. It won't go away. Right? It won't go away. And I think that Uniswap is a very safe bet in that case. Superverse, same thing. But also it came from 7 cents and it's now sitting at $1, right? Don't expect 100x from here. But Superverse to $4, $5, max 10. I can see that happen. BNB, I never talked about BNB. Right, but if I look at what's really something that has proven itself that works and will stick around, yeah, that's BNB. BNB is it's not just Binance. If Binance disappears, BNB won't. That's what a lot of people confuse it with. right? They think, oh, Binance is going to fall. And that's what everybody thought in the bear market, like everything is going to shit. But it's more than that. It's the gas token of one of the biggest chains out there. And that's not just going away. And they have these huge burns. So BNB and deflation go very well together. So I think BNB is a pretty safe play. Now also AVAX, I think that together with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, and IMX maybe, that AVAX is one of the plays that's going to take most money in this portfolio from me. AVAX is quick, it's cheap, the subnets work, they have a lot of gaming adoption, which I really believe in. And AVAX is quite cheap. The coin AVAX is quite cheap compared to a Solana, for example. While AVAX is EVM compatible, right? Solana is a lot harder when it comes to that. I think that AVAX can pull off a Solana. They both came from $9, right? AVAX is sitting at 40, Solana is sitting at 150. Now, of course, the funding and the VCs and etc., it's all different, but I think AVAX's real time to shine is yet to come. Same for Ronin. If you believe in crypto gaming, then Ronin should be one of your bigger plays if you don't want to go too risky, right? You can invest in all these multiple single games and the launch pads, which is great, by the way. But if you want to go with the chains, then Ronin is obvious. Ronin is so obvious. It has the big hits. It has the massive player base. It has a lot of adoption. And I think that Ronin is one of the coins in this list that can do way more than a 4x. But that depends on the future of gaming. Now, Altera is also in this list. And I'm actually not sure if it belongs here, because it could better be in the 10x portfolio. It has a lot more upside than an IMX or a Bitcoin. But it's a little more risky. But I would say Altera is a relative safe altcoin because the use case is just great. And the price is looking a lot better right now as well. Then I have Cake. I have no Cake in my portfolio. I don't even know if I want to buy this. But the idea, like, Cake is underperforming big time, right? Cake sucks. Let me get that out of the way. If you look at Cake on its Bitcoin pair, for example, then you can see, like, yeah, you know, it's been getting wrecked against Bitcoin. But one thing that I want to keep my eyes on is it had its low right here. It's pretty close to it. If it holds this low, then this might be the biggest buying opportunity for Cake. In the last bull market, it went from $1. Well, that's not the right chart. It went from $1. No, it's not even true. It went from 20 cents all the way to like almost $50, right? Absolutely ridiculous. Now it was sitting at $1. It's now 270. I don't know why this cannot do a 4x. It is the native token of the biggest decentralized exchange of one of the biggest chains, right? So, like, this is kind of an obvious play to me, actually. Another one, which is an easy 4x, I think, and also pretty low risk for an altcoin, is Chainlink. Chainlink has been boring. It has been underperforming, definitely. But again, for the people that have a lot of money, the money that I feel like I have quite some money and I don't want to risk it on this like low cap shit, Chainlink is a very good one. It makes all the chains like talk to each other, combine, right? Exchange data. And this is one of the biggest use case coins in crypto. Right? If you're looking for use case in crypto, Chainlink is at least top 5, if not top 3. Right? So Chainlink is one of those that I feel like $14, $15, you know, back to its actual all-time high, should be easy. Then there again is my 10x portfolio. And like I said, I don't want to risk too much money, but I want to get some exposure, like, only Bitcoin and blah, blah, blah. That's also boring, right? So you want to have some thrill and excitement and euphoria. And this is the place where I'm looking at, right? I'm not going to go too much in depth in this, but these are the coins that I feel like they could do a 5 until 20x. So therefore I call it like around 10x, depending per coin. Right, one coin is way more high cap than the other, but these are also coins. They can all die, if you ask me. Every single one of them. Every coin can die, by the way, except for Bitcoin. But these all have a relative good chance to die or be, replaced. Foco Forge, for example. I like Foco Forge. They do a lot, but maybe they do too much, and the price is not really reflecting that right now. Seedify, one of the best launchpads out there, right? The blue chip launchpad. On the other hand, another launchpad, right? So why Seedify, right? And so I go with a few like Sparta Dex, Engine Starter, Chain GPT, all launchpads. Sidus as well, by the way. These are all launchpads, all basically have the same utility, and they all do it a little different, right? Like Seedify really is an incubator. Sparta Dex is a gamified Dex. Engine Starter is just a launchpad. Chain GPT is an AI product in first instance and a launchpad. Sidus is a gaming ecosystem basically, which is now a launchpad. So they all have their USPs, sorry, but they're not all gonna succeed. All right, so I want to have some exposure to everything out there. Now, playable games is in here. I've Ultra, GPU, Honeyland, Katana, Whack Me Games, G-File, Wilder World, Illuvium, Arbitrum, Matic, Compete. These are all coins like that. I think, like, I don't think that Matic is going to pull off a 20x. But I can Matic maybe see a 10x, right? But I put it in here because I don't consider Matic as a safe coin. A lot of people say it's high cap, so it's safe. But if you look at how Matic has been performing, especially on its Bitcoin pair, it's been wrecked, right? Matic is weak. There was never a good time to buy Matic in this whole cycle, basically. And maybe at a certain point, it will be kind of Matic season again. Then I have my 50x portfolio. And this is a portfolio that I should, be able to accept that a lot of coins in this portfolio are not going to make it, right? These are so low cap, so new, so speculative, that they have a lot of upside, but extreme good chance to the downside as well. And there, I don't have it on my trading view yet, but an example of coins that's there is Neuros, for example, Shockwaves. And this is a very low cap AI game, which I think this checks all the boxes. Again, it's low cap, it has the AI narrative, it has the gaming narrative, incubated by Seedify. And I've been trading this like crazy. So I have a big, bunch of free Neuros tokens. But I think that this is the type of coin with a $2 million market cap. Like for a single game to go to $100 market cap, $100 million market cap isn't even to the high side, right? Let alone with all the narratives on it. So this could actually blow up. But it is a single game, super low cap. The chance that it will die is very much there, right? And therefore, you don't want to put too much money in this kind of stuff. But this is what's in there, for example. But also Game Starter, right? Game Starter happens to be also a launchpad, but another launchpad again, and also a super micro cap launchpad, right? So this whole 50x kind of portfolio is basically everything at around a 10 million or lower dollar market cap, which is super risky. And if you are really in wealth creation mode for yourself, so if you have a couple of $1,000s and you feel like, yeah, you know what, I can miss it. It will suck if I have to, but I can miss it. But I really need to take some risk to make it. Then this is more the kind of portfolio that you want to take a look at, and you don't want to even think about going into Bitcoin or anything. That's not going to work for you. So adjust your plans in your portfolio to your current position first. So look at your position, make a plan, and then execute, right? Some people, they just execute, and they hope that it will work out, which it probably doesn't. Now, when do we expect this crazy stuff to happen, right? Well, I think that we really need to see a good alt season before we hit these unrealistic valuations, right? And when do we usually see an alt season? The first two alt seasons that we had were exactly 8 months after the halving, which will put us around the end of this year. And we just need to see the Bitcoin dominance to go down, right? To really go down. So far, this has been in an uptrend. It's Bitcoin season. It's not altcoin season. Altcoins have been collectively underperforming against Bitcoin. So we haven't seen anything yet. And to be honest, guys, this can go up or sideways for a couple of months. And people feel like, wow, it's not going to work. We don't get an alt season this time. Let's capitulate. And then it happens. It will happen. It's every time. It's so predictable. It will happen. But first, people need to stop believing that it will. Now, also, if you just look at Bitcoin and we overlay the altcoin market, right? So we overlay the altcoin market on the Bitcoin market right here. What do you see? If Bitcoin makes a new all-time high, like it did over here, for example, let me get the lines right. So Bitcoin here made a new high. That's really where altcoins were coming out of their accumulation phase and started to go up very hard. Here as well, this is where Bitcoin made a new all-time high. Same case, right? Bitcoin shot up right here. This is where altcoins came out of their accumulation phase and shot up. Right now, a lot of people say like, yeah, Bitcoin made a new all-time high. And of course, technically that's true. Can't argue with that. But is it a clear break and a close above the previous highs? And are we now far above it? And yada, yada, yada. No, of course not, right? We are now sitting below the all-time high. And we are now struggling with it for, a couple of months already, for 2 months. Yeah, that's nothing too crazy. That's nothing new. That's very normal. The only difference is that this time we didn't go to the all-time high and got rejected. This time we went a little above it and got rejected, right? But it's quite some double top, if you ask me. So Bitcoin can take a couple of more weeks maybe to make a new all-time high, really break above it. And when Bitcoin sits around 80, 90, maybe 100K, then altcoins can also finally make a new all-time high. Please remember, altcoins did not make a new all-time high yet. If you look at this, the altcoin market now has to go up collectively with 75% to make a new all-time high. 75%. For Bitcoin, that's 8, right? So Bitcoin is front-running all these altcoins. And also, if you take a look at a lot of these altcoins, you can see it very clearly, right? Bitcoin made a new all-time high. But even Solana, the coin that was discussed like crazy and everything was about Solana, it did not make a new all-time high. Ethereum did not. IMX did not. On this chart it did, but it didn't. Beam is a new coin. Beam did, but of course it didn't had a previous all-time high. Uniswap didn't. Superverse, even with this pump, it didn't. Like, I can go over most of these coins, right? And then people say, yeah, but you have to look at the new coins. And that's true. But new coins, if you only invest in those, you are saying, I'm taking a fuckload of risk right here, right? Because new coins, they have no track record. They haven't proven themselves, right? They have no selling pressure. That's the upside. But then what's the downside? They have no history. It's speculative. And not everybody in crypto wants to go too speculative. Crypto is already very speculative. So if you apply your strategy to such a portfolio, we have a 5 or 5x portfolio, 10x, 50x, and a I will never look back at this until the top of the bull run kind of portfolio, and a cash portfolio, of course. And you adjust it for yourself based on your risk and the amount of money that you think you can and will make. I think you will do very well on this bull run because, again, you're not bullish enough. Bitcoin is this cycle, like, I will be surprised if 150K won't be reached. So far over 100K. And yeah, that's party time for altcoins. So a lot of information. I know. I hope you took your time to watch it. If you're still here, let me know. I give you so much respect for, putting your time in to watch these things, because then I am pretty sure that you are going to make it. If you work hard and long enough and you have conviction, then there is no reason why you won't succeed. So like the video. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Check the Patreon for exclusive sales, influencer wallet trackers, etc. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.